Book of Hebrews, if we were to give it a theme, I think we would say it talks about better things, speaks of better promises, better covenants, a better priesthood. And all of these things, of course, point to the dispensation that we are now living in and point to Christ. The 9th chapter is, I believe, a beautiful passage, and it also is a very interesting one. It begins by talking about the tabernacle that was in the wilderness. Talks about the two different places, the holy place and the most holy place. Speaks of the furnishings in those two areas. And then he talks about the priesthood. He speaks of the priest who entered into the holy place, did that which God required of them at that time. And then it mentions that the high priest only entered into the most holy place once a year. He did that by himself. But it also says that he did not go into the holy place or the most holy place without blood. And he identifies that this is the place, these are the things that God would have him to do. But in the 11th verse, he begins to talk about Christ. He shows that great contrast there between Christ and the high priest, or those priests that served God at that time. It says, "But Christ came as a high priest of the good things to come, with the greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is, not of this creation. Not with the blood of goats and calves, but with his own blood he entered the most holy place once for all, having obtained eternal redemption. For if the blood of the bulls and goats and the ashes of a heifer sprinkled the unclean, sanctified for the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, cleanse your conscience from dead works to serve the living God." And then in verse 15, I believe to be one of the most interesting verses that we find here. "And for this reason, he is the mediator of the new covenant, by means of death for the redemption of the transgressions under the first covenant, that those who are called may receive the promise of the eternal inheritance." This passage speaks about something that we probably don't think about too much. But under the old covenant, despite all of the things that were done on behalf of those who committed sin, it never did completely forgive those sins. We sometimes say that they were rolled forward, or remembered year after year as the priests went in. But whenever Jesus suffered and died, the blood of Christ, I believe this passage is saying, that it not only flows backwards to save those people, those righteous people under the old covenant, but it flows forward to save those of us today who are living, those who are trying to live a righteous life before the God. So as we partake of these elements, we take of this bread and this fruit of the vine, let's remember the one who suffered and died for us. He is indeed the one who gave himself, who gave his life, and who shed his blood, that you and I might have the hope of eternal redemption.